Love is simply one word. It's unspoken. The foundation of life. What is this all about? There is no greater narcotic on this planet. You can line them all up and it won't come close to the dopamine hit that you get from love. Because love don't even have to touch you to make you feel some kind of way special. How many of you out there is wondering, do she love me? Do he love me? What can I do to get her? What can I do to get him? Well, you definitely tuned into the right place. Welcome to the Art of Love with Dr.O, and I'm yours truly, Dr.O. We have a lot of love angels out there in love land out there willing to assist you in finding your way into this happy home of love. You know, a lot of young ladies, they for some reason, the lower frequency is fun to young ladies. But if those young ladies just took the time to talk to someone in their 30s that played those same games, and if they had to do all over again, they'll let each and every one of them young ladies know it wasn't worth it. But I mean, what can you tell a 19, 20, 21-year-old? Could anybody tell you anything? No, but of course our society perpetuates it being interesting to be with a cool guy dipping and diving, and it's exciting. But all that stuff when you get older, it don't pay the bills. So as you get older and you didn't play those games, we slowly started to let go of the lower frequencies and we moved into the mid frequencies. And I also stated previously that where's all this developed from? Well, you know, it starts with that which you came from, your parents. You know, was it positive? Was it negative? And as we get older, our parents they're not perfect as we get older to understand that, but they're perfect enough to get us to the point to realize that. And that is, am I like my parents? What am I doing to be better? Because the only human being that's capable of being greater than you being yourself is the creation of yourself, that being your child. And as a child you are to your parents, are you being a hypocrite of them? Are you being greater than them by taking who they were and elevating it to another level? See? So if you wonder where did it come from, you got to ask yourself, were my parents positive or negative? And which one of my parents is more positive than the other? And which one of them is residing inside of me? Am I more like my negative father or positive mother? Am I more like my negative mother or positive father? And when we take the time to understand that, then we better understand ourselves, and we're able to self-correct to be a better them. I try. I would say for me, where is Dr. O at on this frequency level, on this vibe level? Well, I started to show off many seasons and segments ago, speaking about I'm not perfect. That's the first thing I opened it up with was I'm not perfect. And if you're hanging around anybody that think they are, they lying to themselves. And if someone's lying to themselves, you know they're gonna be lying to you. So you might want to get away from that perfect person. Now we could strive to be perfect. And that's exactly what I'm doing by losing 100 pounds. And that's not easy. It's not easy. But it's something that I have to do. And by doing that, I can step up who my parents were to be better. And remember, I tell all of you, we were taught about life and death, but were we taught wrong? Yeah. You can't kill energy. I just told you early in the segment, you can't kill energy. We're bundles of energy. So who your parents were, your grandparents, they are inside of you now. You miss them, look in the mirror. That's who you are. So I would say where DR.O is on this frequency chart, I would be out of the mid. I'm out of the mid, and I'm just coming into the top positive, the top positive, because the majority of the things that I run across in my life, regardless of how negative the situation is, I try to find a positive in it. And I strive to see if there's an answer. And I ask myself, well, maybe I put through this because there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and this is the only way for me to find it, to see it. So this top tier that works for me. I like happiness. You like being happy? Then surround yourself by happy people. Surround yourself by people that see the glass half full. Not only full, but one day it's gonna runneth over. That's what you want to surround yourself with. If you want to be on the top tier, the positive tier. The world is filled with enough negativism to last us a lifetime. What are you doing to put more positivity back into it? I would say, look in the mirror and start loving yourself. Like all my love angels do. We already discussed that in earlier segments, is that how you become a love angel is that you look in the mirror and you forgive yourself and you start loving yourself. And now you are officially a love angel. And love angels, we strive to find the positivity in life, to be on the top tier. So hopefully you got a little something out of this. And when you're presented with a negativism, always try to find the positivism in it. Unless you want to be on the lower frequency, that's fine. And if you not saying yes or no makes you happy and you feel happy being in that mid frequency, then so be it. But if the positive frequency is where you want to find life, find someone else that's just as positive, that hopes to find the beautiful things that they see in life, and you guys can find that together. Love is such a powerful thing. I told you, it's the bonding force of our universe. 3 is the most powerful number in the universe. And this is the next segment that I'm going to be talking about, is why is 3? DR.O, you say 3 is the most powerful number in the universe. Yes, it is. And I'll break it down to the nanoism of why. And I'll leave you with this. In order for something to exist, it takes something greater than it. And more than likely, it was 3. It was you, your mother, and your father to make you. We'll talk about that next time. Just tune in next week, Wednesday at 8 o'clock, and we'll get into that. But until then, you make sure that loving you is a priority thing for you to do. You see all these different podcasts out there in the world yelling. And by any means, I'm not saying anything negative about that. But to me, if you really want to get a point across to someone, you're going to talk about it. And coming up next is my next favorite segment. Let's talk about it. So let's go ahead and ease on into that and let's talk about it. Hey, welcome back to the Art of Love with DR.O, and I'm yours truly, DR.O. To all my love angels out there in Love Land, appreciate you. Appreciate you showing the love, bringing all these happy angels into our happy family of love. Got a special guest on the show. Got a very special guest on the show. We started the show off with this guest, and he's a VIP from Profanity Nation, and I'm sure you guys will all know who it is once the camera hits on him. It's Mike. When we first had Mike on the show, we was asking him about what does love mean to you the aspect of love from a marriage perspective of things, and I've had a lot of guests on the show since then, and I'm sure you probably, Mike, you probably seen some of these guests on the show.
I've seen a few.
Yeah. And, you know, is there a profound difference between a single person's love versus a marriage person love? Do you remember your early, without getting in trouble?
Yeah.
Okay,
Never want to get in trouble.
Without getting in trouble.
Never want to get in trouble.
Long time ago. Long time
Right.
ago. Okay. When we were adolescent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Was there a difference in love? But how young were you when you and your wife courted each other?
No, that's the very interesting thing. My recommendation is, and my wife's recommendation also is like, hey, enjoy your 20s. You know,
Right.
because the 20s are the times when you actually really learn yourself and understand personalities and stuff. I didn't get married till I was 32. You know
Nice.
what I mean? So I got married at a time where I understood really like what marriage was and what the commitment that we was
Make the
entering into.
commitment.
Yeah, because see, I think I probably touched on it a little bit. The idea of marriage and
Right.
the actual marriage is different. Like everybody prepares for the wedding, but nobody prepares for the marriage.
Whoa.
And that's the
That's
the thing.
profound.
Yeah,
Love Angels, did you hear that?
yeah.
Everybody prepares for the wedding, but very few plan for the marriage.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, the wedding, that would be a sprint, and the marriage would be a marathon. And we all know that a relationship, a marriage is definitely not a sprint.
Yeah.
It's a marathon.
Yeah, nobody really talks about it. You know what I mean? They all they talk about what their dress is like. They talk about the envisioning, and they talk about finding somebody. You know, they want to find somebody, and they want to fall in love with them, and then they want to have a wedding, and they want it to be beautiful. They want all those things, but they never really get into. Man, I mean, you feel that you want to spend the rest of your life with this person because you feel that that's what you should feel.
Right.
Or you think that's what you should feel, but
Right.
that's. I'm gonna tell you, when you get married, like when you really get married, like if you really look at those vows,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and
You just took the words right out of my mouth.
yeah, when
The
you
vows.
yeah,
The
when you give those vows and
better for
and
worse.
for better for worse, for richer for poor, you know,
Until death do you
yeah,
part.
sickness and health and all this other stuff. Like it really does cover every aspect of it,
Right.
but. So what you really do, what you're really committing to, it covers everything. So when
Would you say that you and your wife actually had time to do it a little old school, and that's you guys actually had time to court, or did you just go right into it?
No, yeah, 100%. Like I definitely have courted her. I definitely, you know, she definitely played kind of hard to get, and you know, it's. You know, the back and forth, all that type of stuff.
Right.
And yeah, we've had all that. We've had all that. But yeah, it's. But see, that's what I'm saying. If we get to like who you've had on there, your guests have been very entertaining to me because, you know, you've obviously have had other married men. I remember Mr. Patrick and
Marcus.
I really enjoyed
Both of
that
them
show.
married.
Yeah, really enjoyed that show because
Happily married.
they had a similar perspective, and then I know you had the guest with Legend.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
And
Legend.
And
we're over now.
yeah, I can't think of her name. You know, you were talking about the cell phone and the other one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's really interesting.
Yes.
You know, just the whole gamut of things and their perspective and you know what they will go for and what they won't go for.
So let me ask you this: when you
interesting.
look at a single person's perspective of things, now that you're married, you know, you don't start off married and then graduate into a single lifestyle or relationship. You're single, you get into a relationship, and then that final step is marriage. So now that you've been through those final phases, when you hear someone that's single speaking on things such as that, do you have a more broader scope of what it is that they don't really know?
So I'll answer it like this. And I'll answer it because, and I want to answer it like this because I think that if I give this perspective on things, people will understand it better.
Right.
Than if we talk about love and relationships. Right. I'm gonna answer it to you like this. I remember when I first had my children. Right. And when I first had my children, you know, I remember I had my first daughter, and I remember I was looking for a daycare, right? And I'm going around, I'm looking for a daycare. And looking for a daycare, and you call and you look at prices or whatever. They're like, hey, yeah, you know.
I don't mean to cut them off, but the reason why I laugh, Love Angels, is because nowadays a daycare is a mortgage. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, that's my point. So what happens is you go around and you be like, all right, yeah, you know, all right, that'll be $600 a month, right? To watch my baby, you gotta watch my baby poop. You know, all you gotta do is watch them, make sure they don't hurt themselves and poop. And you want $600 a month, right?
Or more.
All right, you know what I'm saying? And what happens is, if I tell somebody who does not have a child, yeah, man, I pay $600 a month, they don't have a child, I'm like, oh my God, what? That's how much you pay?
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Right?
I'm looking at it as a deal.
Now,
that's
right?
a deal.
If I tell somebody who has somebody who has a child,
I'm like, where is that at?
Yeah. If I tell somebody who has a child and has experienced daycare, right? And I said, yeah, man, I found this place. Oh, that's not that bad.
Well, yeah, look at everybody up on the screen talking about, can you give us the number that 600 a month?
Right. Oh, that's not that bad. When I had both my daughters in daycare, you know, I was around $1,200, $1,300 a month. Oh. And it was like, to people who had kids, oh, that's not that bad. I paid $1,500. Right.
Yes.
You know, but to the ones that don't have kids, you pay $1,200 to watch. Yeah. They can't believe it.
They really don't know the necessity of having that.
Right. They can't fathom that because they don't understand. Like, and the conversation like I had with my wife was that I needed to make sure I put my child in a place where my wife felt comfortable where she was there, and I had to pay a premium price because if not, if I didn't pay that premium price, then my wife was not going to work because she couldn't trust. If I find somewhere for $300 and she's not comfortable, then my wife ain't going to work, right? And so I want you guys to really like understand that perspective because when you're in it, you know what I mean, and you're experiencing it, and along with other people, you're like, oh, that's, you know, it's a common thing. But if you don't have kids, you think it's crazy, right? So marriage and relationships is exactly the same way, right? When you're single, you know, and you're just going through and all the other stuff, you know, single people, oh, I wouldn't deal with that. Okay. You know what I'm saying? All right. But then when you get married, you know what I mean? You go through these vows and then you go buy a house and then
you in love.
You know, and it's the business aspect of it. You know, it's like, oh, wait a minute, hold on. You know, it is really expensive to, you know, the decisions that we made 5 years ago is really expensive. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a different perspective. So I don't fault. Short answer. I mean, that's a long answer, obviously, but I guess what I'm trying to really say is I don't fault single people for thinking single.
Right.
You know what I mean?
They are. Yeah.
And all I say is, you just want to listen to a person who has a little bit more experience to you, perspective.
United One Protection Services. With over 30 years of experience, United One Protection Services has more expertise and knowledge than the other security companies combined. Residential, commercial, municipal, or institutional, United One Protection Services does more than just security. We protect your livelihood. United One Protection Services.
Welcome to the Art of Love with Dr. O, and I'm yours truly, Dr. O. To all my love angels out there in love land, what it is, what it is, what it is, what it is. There is no feeling in the world like the love you give yourself. And remember, every time I close the show, I always say, until next time, make sure that loving you is a priority thing for you to do. How many of y'all do it? Or do y'all just, once the show is off, y'all just forget about those words? They're very powerful. I say it to you so that even when you're not even thinking about it, you're doing it. So make sure you practice that, because depending on love from somewhere else, there's a greater chance you'll be disappointed in the love you give yourself. So we're going to go ahead and ease right into one of my favorite segments. I think all of them are favorite segments, but this segment right here, it allows me to get closer to you guys, and we're just going to slow it down, and we're going to go ahead and get through these questions, and that's Ask Dr. O. Let's see what Dr. O thinks about these questions. Now, I have clients that come, they sit in the chair, and it's therapy session. I mean, the haircut is already going to be nice. They already know what that's going to be, but I think that a lot of them is good therapy. You know, some of my clients' parents, they bring their kids and they say, you know, I ask them, why did you, I just tapered his hair, you know, that's like 5-7 minutes. Why did you give me $100? And they say, well, Art, it's a lot easier for me to bring my child to you than to go to a therapist. So, you know, you see it one end, one way, and then on another end, it's another way. So it's like, that's a nice price for 7 minutes, but on the other end, it's like he's saving money because the therapist isn't going to keep it as real as I'm going to keep it real. So let's go ahead and get into these questions with Ask Dr. O. Dr. O, Dr. O, I'm recently back on the market. You know what I'm saying? And I just want to know, where is the best place to find a great woman without going out to the bar, to the clubs, to the parties? Most guys, you know, in that scene, they seem thirsty, man. I don't want to be one of them thirsty guys, you know what I'm saying? At the club, standing in line, you know what I'm saying? $37 in my pocket, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to be one of them guys, man. I don't want to be one of them guys. Please help me, doctor. So the brother's serious. The brother's serious, okay. The one from New York. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and give it to you, the one. I'm gonna give it to you. I would say, at least you're smart enough to know that the bars, there's a type of person that you're gonna find at the bar. There's a type of person that you're gonna find at the club. And there's a type of person you're gonna find at a party. And you have to ask yourself, is this the type of person that I want to meet? And if it is, so be it. I'm not telling you right or wrong, but depending on what you want to meet. So, you know, is it important to you to have a lady in your life that's athletically inclined, that's fit? Because if it is, you don't want to hang out at an all-you-can-eat restaurant. You want to go to the gym and find a beautiful woman at the gym. Start something off with somebody doing something that you won't have to ask them to do. See, if you like fishing, you know, go where there's a lady fishing. And that way you won't have to ask her to do it. I'm giving you some game right now, man. I'm saving you so much time and headache in your life. But game means nothing if you don't apply it. You know, if you love your car, like putting the armor all on, shining the rims, exhaust, the sound system, and all that stuff, popping them turbos, man, that means something to you. And you don't have to explain yourself to a woman that don't understand that. Then meet a young lady that's doing the same thing that you do. Now, sit down for this one, because I'm about to give you some super game. I'm recently back on the market, and I just want to know where's the best place to find a great woman. Now, everybody would always use that go to church, meet a good woman in church. Well, you might meet a good woman in church. She might be in there running from something. So can't always go to church. But I will say this. Out here in California, there's a hospital off the 10 freeway in Baldwin Park, Kaiser Permanente, and whatever city or state you in, there's a hospital. And some of the cafeteria food isn't bad. But every now and then, if you just stop by and got something to eat in the cafeteria, a lot of people don't know this, but a lot of young ladies get the education. And because they spend so much time in school to get the education and they had to focus on accomplishing their goal, they wasn't available for that other stuff. A lot of gentlemen don't know that there's a lot of beautiful ladies in the hospital, educated, beautiful jobs, that would love to have a good man to sit down to eat something with. Now, your best friend in that hospital, that would be the cashier. She knows everybody's business. She knows what RN is single, what doctor just broke up with her husband, all that. So wherever you at, there's a hospital. Every now and then, it won't hurt just to stop by and have something to eat out of that hospital. And you'll be surrounded by beautiful, educated women that would love to sit down and have lunch with you. Hopefully the one that's a little game for you, but remember, don't stress nobody out trying to convince them to do something that they don't want to do. Just find them already doing it. To all my love angels out there, hopefully I help some of you answering some of these questions here. And I know that there's a lot more questions, and I love the questions because it gives me an opportunity to get closer to you, to understand you, to get an idea of what's going through your mind. And, I don't have all the answers. I'm still learning myself. And remember, the best way to navigate things in this life is the better we understand ourselves, the better we can understand that beyond us, the better we can master the universe that exists inside of us, the better it is and the easier it is to navigate through the universe outside of us. To all my love angels out there in love land, remember, until next time, say it with me, until next time, what we supposed to do? Now, when I say this, I'm saying this to myself too. What we supposed to do? We supposed to make what? Loving us a priority thing for us to do. I appreciate you, and I love you. Keep those questions coming in. Remember, every Wednesday at 8 o'clock, we're here, and we're going to have Still Sharp and Still. It's not easy for me, but I'm on a mission to love myself. I'm not perfect. Still got over 100 pounds to lose. It ain't easy, especially when you live in a place where everything's against you. Everything's against you. You talk about doing some soul searching and mastering the universe that exists inside of you. In order to lose weight, that's one of the things you got to do. You got to master that universe inside of you. And then that universe on the outside of you, oh, God, it's a whole nother universe to deal with. So I'm on my own journey. Don't think that you're alone. And until next time, make sure that loving you is a priority thing for you to do.